My mill poisoned me at my wedding to test my allergy. My husband defended her and now I'm getting divorced after only 1 month of marriage. I, 28 female, married my husband Nathan, 30 male, last month after dating for 3 years. Our relationship had been a whirlwind romance from the start. We met at a charity event where I was volunteering and Nathan was representing his family's business. We hit it off immediately, bonding over our shared love of travel and indie music. Within 6 months, we were practically inseparable. Nathan comes from a wealthy, traditional family. His father, Richard, 60 male, owns a successful construction company, and his mother, Linda, 55 female, is a socialite known for her lavish parties and charity work. I, on the other hand, grew up in a middle-class family. My parents divorced when I was young, and I was raised primarily by my mom and older sister. I worked hard to put myself through college and now have a fulfilling career as a social worker. From the beginning, Linda made it clear that she didn't think I was good enough for her son. She would make backhanded compliments about my quaint upbringing or how brave I was to work in such a challenging field. Nathan always brushed off her comments, saying she meant well and just needed time to warm up to me. One thing about me that Linda particularly disliked was my severe lactose intolerance. I've had this condition since childhood, and it's not just a minor inconvenience. If I consume dairy, I get violent cramps, vomiting, and can even pass out from the pain. Nathan and his family have known about this since we started dating. Despite my condition, Linda would often forget about my dietary restrictions at family gatherings. She'd serve dishes loaded with cheese or cream, then act surprised when I couldn't eat them. Nathan would always make excuses for her, saying she was just forgetful or that it was hard for her to change her traditional recipes. When Nathan proposed, I was over the moon. However, the wedding planning quickly became a nightmare. Linda insisted on being involved in every detail, from the venue to the flower arrangements. She and Nathan overruled many of my choices, saying they weren't appropriate for a family of their status. I compromised on a lot of things to keep the peace, but I put my foot down when it came to the menu. I insisted on having dairy-free options clearly labeled for me and any other guests with dietary restrictions. The wedding day itself was beautiful, despite the stress leading up to it. We had a small ceremony with close family and friends at a picturesque vineyard. The reception was at a nearby hotel where we had also booked our honeymoon suite. Everything was going smoothly until dinner time. I had specifically requested the caterers to prepare dairy-free meals for me. They assured me they would label all dishes clearly. As I was about to take a bite of what I thought was a safe option, Linda came over with a glass of champagne. Linda raised a toast to us and insisted I try a specific dish she had personally overseen. I was hesitant, but she assured me it was dairy-free. Nathan encouraged me to try it, saying his mom had probably made sure it was safe for me. Big mistake. Huge. Within 30 minutes, I was violently ill. The cramps were excruciating, and I couldn't stop vomiting. Nathan panicked and called an ambulance. I spent our wedding night in the ER, hooked up to IVs to manage the dehydration and pain. The next morning, still groggy and sore, I overheard the doctor talking to Nathan. Apparently, the dish I ate was loaded with heavy cream and cheese. The doctor was puzzled because they had been informed about my allergy. That's when I saw Linda in the hallway, looking oddly satisfied. She walked in, patted my hand, and said, "I guess you're not faking it after all. I just had to be sure you weren't lying to get attention." I was speechless. This woman had intentionally fed me something that could have killed me, just to test if I was lying? Nathan looked uncomfortable but didn't say anything. Linda continued, "Now that we know it's real, we can plan family dinners better. No more of this special meal nonsense." I lost it. I yelled at her to get out, that she could have killed me. Nathan tried to calm me down, saying I was overreacting and that his mom meant well. Meant well? I was hospitalized on my wedding night. I told Nathan I wanted to press charges against Linda. He freaked out, saying I couldn't do that to his mother, that it would tear the family apart. He suggested we just move past it and enjoy the rest of our honeymoon once I was discharged. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own husband, who had seen me suffer through this ordeal, was defending the woman who intentionally hurt me. When I pushed back, he accused me of being dramatic and ungrateful for all the work his mom had put into the wedding. It's been a week since I was discharged. I'm staying with my sister because I can't bear to be around Nathan or his family right now. Nathan keeps calling and texting, alternating between apologies and accusations that I'm overreacting. This isn't the first time Nathan has chosen his family over me. Last year, we had planned a trip to Europe to celebrate my birthday. It was a dream vacation I had been saving up for years. 2 weeks before we were supposed to leave, Linda guilted Nathan into attending a family reunion instead. She claimed it might be the last time the whole family could get together, as Nathan's grandfather was in poor health. Nathan canceled our trip without even discussing it with me first. His grandfather, by the way, is still alive and well a year later. Then there was the time Linda accidentally donated a box of my belongings when she was helping us move into our new apartment. The box contained irreplaceable mementos from my late father. When I got upset, Nathan told me I was being materialistic and that family was more important than possessions. Looking back, I realized there's been a pattern of Nathan prioritizing his family's wishes over our relationship. But this latest incident feels like a turning point. How can I trust someone who would defend a person who intentionally harmed me? At the same time, I'm terrified of the thought of ending my marriage after less than a month. Nathan and I have built a life together. We have a shared group of friends, an apartment we bought together, and plans for the future. The thought of walking away from all of that is overwhelming. I'm also worried about the professional repercussions. Nathan's family is well connected in our city, and I'm afraid of how a messy divorce might impact my career. I've worked hard to build a reputation in my field, and the thought of losing that is scary. Part of me wonders if I'm overreacting. Maybe Linda really didn't mean any harm. Maybe I should try to be more understanding of Nathan's position, caught between his wife and his mother. But then I remember the pain I was in, the fear I felt when I couldn't breathe, and I get angry all over again. I don't know what to do. I love Nathan, but I don't know if I can forgive this betrayal. His mother intentionally harmed me, and he's taking her side. Am I overreacting? Should I just forgive and forget for the sake of family peace? Or is this the hill I die on? I feel lost and could really use some advice. What would you do in my situation? Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, thank you all for your supportive comments and advice. It really helped me gain perspective on the situation. After my initial post, I decided to have a serious talk with Nathan. I invited him to my sister's place, where I've been staying. I laid out everything, how hurt I was by his mother's actions, how betrayed I felt by his response, and how this incident made me question our entire relationship. Nathan's reaction wasn't what I hoped for. He started by apologizing, saying he understood why I was upset. But then he pivoted to defending his mother again. He said, "You know how Mom is. She's just old-fashioned and set in her ways. She didn't mean any real harm." I was floored. I reminded him that I ended up in the hospital, that his mother's actions could have killed me. His response: "Don't you think you're exaggerating a bit? It was just some dairy." That's when I realized this wasn't just about the wedding incident. This was a pattern. I started recounting all the times Linda had made snide comments about me, all the times she had undermined our relationship, and all the times Nathan had brushed it off or taken her side. I brought up the Europe trip he had canceled for the family reunion. I reminded him of how devastated I was, how I had been planning that trip for years. Nathan got defensive, saying, "Family comes first. You know Grandpa isn't doing well." I pointed out that his grandfather was still alive and well, contrary to the dire predictions that had been used to guilt Nathan into canceling our trip. Then I mentioned the box of my dad's things that Linda had accidentally donated. Nathan's face fell at this. He admitted that he had known about it beforehand. Apparently, Linda had found the box while helping us pack and decided it was junk that was cluttering up our new place. Instead of standing up to her, Nathan had gone along with it, thinking I would get over it eventually. I was shocked. This was the first time Nathan had admitted to knowingly going along with his mother's manipulations. It made me question every interaction we'd had with his family. How many other times had he chosen to side with them over me? Nathan got defensive. He accused me of never trying to get along with his mother, of always being too sensitive. He even had the audacity to say, "If you really loved me, you'd be willing to forgive Mom and move past this." I lost it at that point. I told him that if he really loved me, he would have stood up for me, protected me from his mother's toxic behavior. I pointed out that he was willing to sacrifice my health and well-being just to keep the peace with his mom. The argument got heated. Nathan stormed out, saying he needed time to think. I was left feeling drained but oddly relieved. For the first time, I had stood my ground and voiced all the frustrations I'd been bottling up. The next day, Linda showed up at my sister's place unannounced. My sister tried to turn her away, but I decided to face her. Linda came in with a forced smile and a casserole dish, which I obviously couldn't eat. She started with a non-apology, "I'm sorry you got so upset over a little misunderstanding." When I didn't respond, she continued, "You know, in my day, we didn't make such a fuss over every little thing. We just dealt with it." I took a deep breath and calmly told her that intentionally poisoning someone wasn't a little thing. I explained in detail what her actions had done to me physically and emotionally. I told her that her behavior wasn't just mean-spirited, it was criminal. Linda's facade cracked. She started crying, playing the victim. "How could you accuse me of such a thing? I'm Nathan's mother. I was just trying to welcome you to the family." She went on about how ungrateful I was, how I was tearing her family apart. I stood firm. I told her that she was the one who had torn the family apart with her actions. I made it clear that until she could genuinely acknowledge what she did and sincerely apologize, she wasn't welcome in my life. Linda left in tears, no doubt to call Nathan and play the victim again. Sure enough, Nathan called me shortly after, angry that I had attacked his mother. When I tried to explain what really happened, he accused me of twisting the truth. That was the last straw for me. I realized that Nathan would always choose his mother over me, no matter how badly she behaved. I told him I needed space and that I would be staying with my sister indefinitely. It's been a few days since then. Nathan has been blowing up my phone with messages, alternating between apologies and guilt trips. His family members have also started reaching out, some offering support, others accusing me of overreacting. Yesterday, I received a call from my boss. Apparently, Linda had reached out to her, expressing concern about my mental state and suggesting I might need time off work. I was furious. Not only was Linda trying to manipulate my personal life, but she was now interfering with my career. Thankfully, my boss is understanding. She assured me that my job was secure and offered to give me some time off if I needed it. I'm grateful for her support, but I'm worried about what other strings Linda might try to pull. I'm hurt, angry, and confused. But I'm also starting to feel a sense of clarity. I realize now that this isn't just about one incident. It's about a pattern of disrespect and gaslighting that I've endured throughout my relationship with Nathan. I've decided to extend my stay at my sister's place. I'm also considering talking to a lawyer about my options. I never thought I'd be contemplating divorce less than a month into my marriage, but I'm starting to think it might be necessary for my own well-being. I'll keep you updated as things develop. Again, thank you all for your support and advice. It means more than you know. Update 2. It's been a month since my last update, and things have taken several unexpected turns. I'm still processing everything that's happened, but I wanted to share the latest developments with you all. First, the big news: Nathan and I are officially separated. After weeks of back and forth, heated arguments, and failed attempts at reconciliation, we both agreed that we needed time apart. It wasn't an easy decision, but it felt necessary for both of us. The catalyst for this decision came about 2 weeks ago. Nathan had been staying with his parents since our last big fight, and I was still at my sister's place. He called me one evening, sounding unusually subdued. He said he wanted to meet in person to talk things through. We met at a neutral location, a quiet coffee shop near my office. Nathan looked tired and stressed. He started by apologizing for not standing up for me, for dismissing my feelings, and for letting his mother's behavior slide for so long. For a moment, I felt a glimmer of hope. But then he dropped the bombshell. He said, "I've been thinking a lot about our relationship, about the future we planned. And I realized, I don't think I can choose between you and my family. It's tearing me apart." I was stunned. After everything that had happened, he still saw this as a choice between me and his family, not a matter of right and wrong. I asked him point blank, "Do you think what your mother did was wrong?" His response was telling. He hesitated, then said, "I think she made a mistake, but I don't think she meant any real harm. You know how she is." That's when I knew. This wasn't just about his mother's actions. This was about Nathan's inability to set boundaries, to stand up for what's right, to be a true partner. I realized that even if we moved past this incident, there would always be another one. His mother would always come first. I told Nathan that I couldn't be with someone who couldn't prioritize our relationship, who couldn't stand up to injustice even when it directly harmed me. I suggested we take some time apart to really think about what we both want from this marriage. Nathan agreed, looking both relieved and sad. We decided on a 3-month separation. During this time, we'll both seek individual counseling. I've already started, and we'll reassess our relationship at the end of this period. In the meantime, I've moved out of my sister's place and into a small apartment of my own. It feels strange to be living alone after years of cohabitation, but it's also oddly freeing. I'm rediscovering parts of myself that I had compromised or set aside during my relationship with Nathan. As for Linda, she hasn't given up on her campaign to fix things. She's been sending me lengthy emails, alternating between guilt-tripping and faux apologizing. I've blocked her number, but she keeps finding new ways to contact me. Her latest tactic is to send messages through mutual friends, painting herself as the concerned mother-in-law who just wants to make amends. I've started documenting all of these attempts at contact, just in case. My sister suggested I might need a restraining order if Linda's behavior escalates, and while I hope it doesn't come to that, I want to be prepared. On a more positive note, this whole ordeal has shown me who my true friends are. My colleagues have been incredibly supportive, covering for me at work when I needed time off and offering words of encouragement. My sister has been my rock throughout all of this, providing a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on when needed. I'm taking this time to focus on myself, my career, my hobbies, my health. I've started taking a cooking class, ironically, focusing on dairy-free recipes, and I'm considering signing up for a half marathon next spring. These might seem like small things, but they're helping me rebuild my sense of self outside of my relationship with Nathan. As for the future of my marriage, I honestly don't know. Part of me still loves Nathan and wishes we could work things out. But a growing part of me is realizing that I deserve better, a partner who will stand by me, who will protect me, who will choose me. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time. Update 3. It's been 3 months since my last update, and today marks the end of the separation period Nathan and I agreed upon. A lot has changed, and I wanted to share the final chapter of this story with you all. First, the big news: Nathan and I have decided to divorce. It wasn't an easy decision, but after months of reflection and individual counseling, we both realized it was the right choice for us. About a month into our separation, Nathan reached out to me. He said he had been doing a lot of thinking and wanted to talk. We met at the park where we had our first date. It felt fitting to come full circle. Nathan looked different, more serious, more mature somehow. He started by offering a genuine, heartfelt apology. Not just for the wedding incident, but for years of allowing his mother to mistreat me, for not standing up for me, for always choosing the path of least resistance. He admitted that he had been in denial about his mother's toxic behavior and his own role in enabling it. He told me about a conversation he had with his father, Richard. Apparently, Richard had finally stood up to Linda, telling her that her behavior was unacceptable and that she needed to get help. This confrontation led to some hard truths coming out. Linda had been struggling with alcohol abuse for years, hiding it from the family. Her erratic behavior, the mood swings, the forgetfulness, it all started to make sense. Nathan said he had started therapy and was working on setting boundaries with his family. He had even confronted his mother about her actions at our wedding. According to Nathan, it didn't go well initially. Linda refused to admit any wrongdoing and accused Nathan of choosing me over family. But with Richard's support and the threat of being cut off financially, Linda finally agreed to enter a rehab program. For a moment, I felt a glimmer of hope. Was this the turning point we needed? But as we continued talking, we both realized something important. While we still cared for each other, too much damage had been done. The trust was broken, and the person I needed Nathan to be 3 months ago wasn't the same person I needed now. We talked for hours, reminiscing about the good times, acknowledging the bad, and ultimately agreeing that we had grown in different directions. We decided to end our marriage, but to do so with kindness and respect. The divorce process has been surprisingly amicable. We're working with a mediator to divide our assets fairly. Nathan even insisted I keep the apartment we had bought together, saying it was the least he could do after everything that had happened. As for Linda, she made one last attempt at reconciliation, or rather, manipulation. She showed up at my workplace with tears and apologies, causing a scene in front of my colleagues. I remained calm and asked her to leave, which she eventually did when security was called. Nathan was mortified when he heard about it and has promised to handle his mother from now on. These past few months haven't been easy, but they've been transformative. I've reconnected with old friends, thrown myself into my work, even got a promotion, and started dating again, casually, nothing serious yet. I'm rediscovering who I am outside of my relationship with Nathan, and I like the person I'm becoming. I won't lie, there are still moments of sadness, moments when I miss the future we had planned together. But those moments are becoming fewer and farther between. More often, I feel a sense of peace and excitement about what the future holds. Last week, I ran into Nathan's sister, Emily, at a local coffee shop. We had always gotten along well, and I was worried things would be awkward. To my surprise, she gave me a big hug and thanked me. She said that my standing up to Linda had been a wake-up call for the whole family. They're all in family therapy now, working on healthier communication and boundaries. Emily also mentioned that Nathan has started volunteering at a local addiction support center. He's channeling his experiences into helping others, which I think is wonderful. While we're no longer right for each other romantically, I'm glad to see Nathan growing and healing. As for me, I'm focusing on building a life I love. I've started a support group for people dealing with toxic in-laws, turning my painful experience into something positive. My boss has been incredibly supportive, even allowing me to use our office space for meetings after hours. I'm also planning that Europe trip I've always dreamed of. Solo this time, and I couldn't be more excited. There's something empowering about reclaiming my dreams on my own terms. To everyone who has followed this story and offered support and advice along the way, thank you. Your words have been a source of strength and clarity during one of the most challenging periods of my life. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's the importance of standing up for yourself and not settling for less than you deserve. As this chapter of my life closes, I'm looking forward to writing the next one, on my own terms, with people who truly value and respect me. Here's to new beginnings, and to never letting anyone dim your light, family or not.